While we get excited for spring fishing, it can be ripe with challenges, or like this title says, pre-spawn issues. One of those issues I've had to face this week on Lake Hartwell. Now, I've never fished here, and I wanted to cross another one of the Bassmaster's Top 100 off my list, but Mother Nature has provided typical late winter and early spring fishing, and that is lots of rain causing a range of varying factors. But we'll get to that in just a second. The water this week is holding right around that 50-degree mark, perfect for finding bass in that transition mode from winter haunts to spawning grounds. Now, I picked a manageable sized creek channel. I knew I could fish it from the main lake all the way to the back without much trouble. I really like to do this in smaller creek arms to get a sense of where the fish are at. Are they near the mouth, partway back, or all the way back? Now, of course, these are broad general statements. Bass will spawn all over, but I'm trying to get a feel of where a larger group of fish are actually holding. And we can see here that even though the bulk of the rain had quit a week or so ago, there is still some runoff coming into this creek arm. However, here is the issue I was dealing with. As you can see here, Lake Hartwell often has good water clarity. This was a week ago. Now look at this. This water clarity overlay is 3 days old. According to the information gathered from satellite photos, you can see the massive change in the lake. These upper river arms are completely dirty, whereas just a week ago, they were only slightly stained, and this dark water keeps moving downstream, altering the typical water clarity as it goes. Now, I don't mind fishing in dirty water, but we have to think about how these changes impact the bass. For fish that are normally used to better visibility, going to a low visibility environment, suddenly it affects them. To do my best to help them out, the bass out, or guide them to my lure, I decided to use a bladed jig. That added thump, I hoped, would help these usually visual fish find my lure more easily, but instead of a straight reeling retrieve, I just used very small hops and fished it like a jig on the bottom. The blades would only kick in for just short little bursts and give a small thump. In other words, I was still trying to be subtle, but add a little more vibration than I would be doing if this creek arm was its normal water clarity. Now, this arm has gotten a little dingy while I was here, but still what I felt was decent visibility. Now, I noticed when idling into this channel that we had some really defined rock transitions. Huge stretches of this shoreline were smooth and featureless. Then there would be a small stretch of fish-sized rock or even chunk rock. Those transition spots we can see along the shore often carry down into the water, especially on man-made impoundments. We've got to imagine what this shoreline would look like before it was flooded. The features we can see above the waterline often continue downward. Now, this not only includes rock type, like we mentioned, but things like ditches and the grade or slope as well. Here is what these rock transition areas look like underwater. Now, as you can see, there will be a featureless bottom composition, and then the rock starts. And the great thing about fishing a bottom lure is these areas are easy to feel and identify. This one definitely was. Now, it didn't take long, and I found my first fish. And it wasn't that far from the mouth of the channel. The first thing I noticed, though, was how frigid this fish was. And as you can see, it is extremely pale as well. This guy has been deep for quite some time. I would guess that he's just starting his migration to traditional spawning areas. The big females are probably still not here yet. I picked them up in about 12 to 15 feet of water on that bladed jig. And as you can see in the background, I'm still down here and hope to get a few more days in. We'll see. The fishing has definitely been tough. Thank you to the Deep Dive app for sponsoring this video. You can find more information about them on the Google Play Store, the Apple Store, or follow the link below in the description. And hey, if you would like to watch a video on the science behind a Ned rig, or at least why I think it works so well, go ahead and check this video out right here. And make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.